the data channel, and you're watching SQL Bootcamp for Data Professional. And as part of the topic 6, as part of this playlist, which is specific to the SQL for Data Professionals, we are bringing up one of the interesting topic, that is the difference between count of star and count of one. So if you have written some sort of queries in SQL, definitely you might have encountered a scenario where you do a select count of star from a table. So that will return you the number of records. So you are expecting the number of rows that in the table as a result, right? But like there might be in cases where like few people says the count of one is performance wise it is better, right? And there is some debate on top of this topic. So basically we'll quickly discuss about this, what exactly this difference is, whether it really make any difference at all, right? Before proceeding, if you're new to this channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So let's first understand like count of star, right? So count of star, basically what it does is it counts all the rows in the tables, including nulls. So all the rows, in the sense all the rows and all the columns as well, including null, whether it is null, not null, value in a column. So then it actually the asterisk indicates that it counts every row regardless of whatever the specific content is, right? And count of one, actually what it does is this is also functionally both are same. Basically if you take count and count of star and count of one, so this also counts all the rows, but instead of counting the rows themselves, it evaluates the constant one for each row, which always is non null. Since one is a constant, it behaves similar to the count of star. So so this might sound little bit confusing, right? What count of one is doing here and what count of star is doing here. So first let us understand functionally both are equivalent. That means both return the total number of rows in a table. However, this is a key difference what we are seeing here. But it might not be able to understand, and sometimes it might be confusing what exactly these are doing internally, right? So let's take a simple example. Let's switch to the uh, table of sales, right? So when I do a select star from sales, what happens? So it actually gives the entire result, right? So this, when you're giving star, what exactly happening is it is returning all the rows, right? And all the columns. However, on top of this, if you make it as count of star, so then what happens is it is actually making the count of these rows. Literally, it is counting these rows after the value of star. So first it takes the star value, and whatever the result it gets in star, it actually starts counting those rows, right? However, when it comes to count of one is also giving the same number of records. Then what is the difference? What exactly is happening in the background, right? So the theoretically we understood, but it is a little confusing. So practically, if you understand, I think it would be simple. So you can give one, two, three, anything. So any constant value. So if you give constant value, basically it is returning the number of how many number of rows are there. So for each rows, it is assigning one, right, which is a constant, and then it counts these ones. Like you can give two, it will just give two. So it might be any constant for that matter, right? Basically whatever constant you are giving here, so it assigns that constant for each of the rows that are present in the table. So then when you're applying the count on top of this, so you can just simply say count of one. So this is a result what you're getting, and which is assigned, and then it will simply count. So by now you might have understand count of one might be performance wise it might be better, because it is just this working on this rather than this, right? So there is a difference, right? So counting this and counting this, so counting count of one is better than counting star. It might looks like yes, it is right actually. However, what happens is in most of the modern SQL databases, there is no performance difference between count of star and count of one. So the query optimizer basically treats them in the same way, and the result is also identical. Um, so that is why there is no much difference. Okay. And coming to the performance uses preference, right? So count of star is most commonly used, right? And it is having a more clearer intent. Okay, and in the normal cases, it's always better to use count of star, which is more readable, and also it shows the clear intent that you want to kind of select everything from that particular table. So because it doesn't make any difference in terms of performance in the considering the modern databases, so it is always better to use count of star rather than count of one. So unless in a very rare scenario where count of one can be still used is if you are using a very old or legacy kind of a versions of databases, in that cases you can still use count of one, which might be little in terms of performance, it might be still better compared to count of star. Otherwise, all the modern databases, there is no difference because there is a query optimizer which will internally treat both in the same way. Okay, so that's simple about count of star and count of one. So I think this will be sometimes asked in the interview. So and also it is better to know how each one functions internally. So hope this was interesting, and thanks for watching.